Hi guys, welcome to Simproved, Fry speaking here, and welcome to another Sims 4 speed build. Today is a very special day because Halloween is very soon upon us, and as you know, I love to build stuff from TV shows or movies or games or whatever, and so many of you guys have asked for the American Horror Story the American Horror Story Murder House. There we go. Oh my god, what an intro. But yeah, I always was a little bit reluctant to build this. First of all, it is always very hard to build something from any movie or whatever, because usually these things are filmed on sets and then just the exterior shot of the house is like plummeted on it, but the interior usually never really adds up. We have some kind of differences here as well, but I personally thought, since it's Halloween very soon, and also this is part of a huge collab called Simheim 2020, initiated by my good friend Sati, who is also a really good builder, and I'm super happy that she asked me to join. There will be plenty of builds. Lots of sim builders all around the world are coming together for Simheim 2020 and yeah, upload builds for you guys or stream them or whatever, like great stuff. It's just amazing. I will put the playlist down below. Please check it out. And yeah, I thought this is the perfect occasion to use that build for this. As always, I love to build something from horror movies or horror series in this case, since I'm a huge horror fan, and I have to say that I personally also really like that house. Like, architectural wise, it is very interesting. I could find lots and lots of reference pictures, and yeah, I just never really thought this would be doable, but since I looked into it, I think without CC, as I would never use CC, I think it was made possible when University came out, because they had the exact window. So with the University pack, it is of course possible. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna tackle this. This is possible. Keep calm. Okay, let's research. So, for those who don't know, American Horror Story is a TV series. You don't need to have, or you didn't need to watch it to understand. I will explain everything. I don't want to spoil everything, like, from the series if you want to watch it. This is from season 1 called Murder House, and this is also the murder house that everything takes place in, basically. Of course, there are like some ghosts and whatnot. You know, you get the drift. Basically, family moves in, creepy stuff happens, there are ghosts. I think you understand what, you know, the basics of the storyline here. The real house really exists. It's now, I think, situated in like a country club park or something. Initially built by Alfred Rosenheim. I don't know if he is German or something, but he has a very German name. Who was also like, I think, the president of American Architects or something like that. So, of course, he had built himself a really nice house, and it is in kind of like an American Gothic style, I would say. I will link to the Wikipedia article about Rosenheim or this house especially, as well, in the video description down below if you want to look at this. So they used this house for the exterior shots, and also they build, as always, when we have to deal with something that is used in a movie or in TV series, they of course rebuild a whole set somewhere. So sometimes, or as always, the interior doesn't line up with the house. Although, in this case here, actually, they really try to have the same layout of the rooms, and partially this time it's actually quite possible to fit all these rooms into the house, but some things are amiss, and I had to of course, add something also to the exterior because they don't make sense where initially they thought. I think this also has a lot to do with, hey, it would really look great to have a little corner here, which the original house doesn't have, so let's just add it for our interior shots. So we have this here. So this house doesn't look at all, well, not at all, of course, a lot like the one in the series. But for example, the real house has an annex on the left, which was CGI'd out in the series, and also on the chapel on the right, if you look on the front of it, which was also CGI'd out. However, I also rewatched the whole series, like the whole season. However, in some shots you can still see the annex on the left, especially when they show the behind of the house, which I had to kind of twist a little bit to fit everything in. So I think this is not really how the exterior looks, because there's lots and lots of things added to it as well. And as I might say, as I would call myself an architecture nerd, they did it very poorly, because probably they added that stuff way later and they are not consistent with the Gothic style, basically, of the house, which kind of ruins it a little bit for me. Apparently, American preservation laws about architecture and how to restore houses is not as prominent as we have it here in Germany, but okay. That's just my 2 cents. And that's also, by the way, the real murder happening at this house. But okay. So basically, as you can see, this is also a family home. And you guys always want me to build family homes because I usually tend to build like community lots and like crazy stuff, flying balloons, whatever. And hey, here it is. So this is also the occasion why I built this. I thought, hey, you guys always want a family house. This is a really, really nice one. And also it's not as creepy, which is why I thought this is actually quite nice. So if you want to have this as just like a normal family home, maybe you want to get rid of all of the dry grass and all of the dried out rose bushes and whatnot that I'm going to place right now. But yeah, it's actually also, the interior is not as creepy, like absolutely not. Also not in the movie, honestly. It is a very, very nice house. Like, I wouldn't mind living there at all. And therefore I thought, yeah, I think for Sims gameplay, it is kind of like a cool thing to play around with. So, hence the idea was born to actually really tackle this now, and we built this. So in the backyard we have a pavilion, which the actual house of course doesn't have, but it is story driven because in the series they built a little gazebo kind of thing. And I also will put some I will also put some tombstones there because, spoiler alert, somebody gets buried under that gazebo. I'm just not gonna tell you who, if you want to watch it. But yeah, so that happens at one point. So there is one now. It's not really usable by the Sims because keep in mind I had to tuck in a lot, by the way, in this house because it's actually pretty big. I found some blueprints of the original house. They don't seem to line up with the original house, so I think these blueprints were made by a fan, only tackling how we see the house in the show without all of the annexes that I told you about. So without the chapel and without some stuff. And apparently there are some things that don't align, of course. But the blueprints were super, super helpful. I tried to use these first, and then I realized, oh my god, the house looks really clunky because, of course, we have only the tiles as our own unit, you know, and they don't really line up sometimes if you just go by, you know, one tile is like 1 meter or half a meter, I guess. So in this case, I had to tuck in a lot and make it way smaller. But that doesn't change anything about the whole gameplay experience about this, because it still has, I think, 6 bedrooms and 5 bathrooms, which makes it very, very much playable. I think this is like a good amount to deal with your Sims family. And also I added, of course, some more friezes and a little bit of knickknacks because I thought that make the house look a little bit better. But yeah, this is basically how I try to incorporate everything, also from the exterior shots that we can see. And I also watched some videos where people tour the house, like from the outside, as fans probably from the show. And I've seen, I think this house was on sale at some point. And there were some interior shots of it furnished and whatnot, which are also horrendous. So I'm sorry, but yeah, it's yeah. The real murder is how they renovated that house. Honestly, I'm just sometimes shocked what Americans do to their beautiful houses, but okay. So here we are in the interior. I used as the wooden flooring the vampire floor, the vampire wooden floor. It came with the vampire pack, and and actually it's just a diagonal flooring, but if you know, turn the floor, then you can have this diamond shape on the floor, and I think it makes it look so much more detailed and so much more better. I think I say this a lot of times in my videos, that if you have diagonals or any kind of weird patterns or trims on your floor tiles, that you can experiment with how you place them. So the floor looks a little bit more interesting and intricate. And yeah, this is what I wanted to do here as well. So as you can see, we are already in the interior and the kitchen. I have pre-furnished this, because me furnishing this like shot by shot from the set pieces that we saw in the, you know, while watching, of course, the series and also looking at some set photos, I try to put the essentials in, and now I'm going to go, as you can see, doing the cluttering, which also means that I personally add something that is, of course, not in the in the series, but makes sense in The Sims, or just as I thought is like interesting maybe for the interior design. But yeah, the kitchen has a really weird layout. Also, that seating corner in the back is added for sure on the set, because that is not an original kitchen from the house. So I had to add that in as well. This is the psychiatry bureau kind of office of the man of the house, I would say. We can see him in the series multiple times treating his patients there, having like some sessions. That one also was a little bit hard because we don't have so many objects that kind of fit that theming. But I would say overall he used lots of more industrial, manly looking, you know, furniture. So we have black, we have like leather couches and whatnot. But with the background in mind that it's actually like all wooden paneling, kind of this Gothic, American Gothic style, I try to incorporate stuff that kind of has the same style, I would say. Keep in mind, I always know that people will have probably created CC for this. I never want to use CC in my builds, and because I hate providing like whole lists and then it's not possible to use it. Or, you know, guys, I want you to be ready to just download this from the gallery and then like you're fine. And if you're like a super fan, you probably already have the stuff, you know, you already have the CC for that. So of course, as always, you can download my builds and use them as your canvases and refurnish everything. I don't care. Once my builds are up on the gallery, you can always use them for whatever you like. And also feel free, of course, to tag me in everything on Twitter, Instagram, whatever. I would love to have a look at it. I just recently saw someone using my Sabrina Spellman house, the Spellman mortuary. And it looked fantastic. They did some amazing photo shoots with their sim there. So that was just, yeah, really, really cool. Yeah, and here we are in the dining room, which is actually also, for the set, they just rebuilt the office that you have seen, which is actually the dining room. So they did the dining room there, and then maybe they refurbished it for the scenes when it's an office, and vice versa. Or they have two of these set pieces. because it doesn't line up. So I thought dining rooms are just not as necessary in The Sims because it's hard to get all the Sims at one table. So in the end, they probably will eat in the kitchen at these counters and can still eat, of course, in the dining room if you like set everything up. I don't know. I'm not really good at gameplay. I just know from experience that it's hard to get all Sims eating at the same time at one table. It's just hard. Here we are in the living room where I had, I don't know what it is, but in the living room, the shots in the series are always close-ups. And close-ups are, of course, for me, who wants to rebuild something, absolute death, right? Like, I'm like, oh, I don't care how she looks like, just show a little bit more of the interior design in the back. But yeah, basically, since the series also has lots and lots of flashbacks of the older like owners like that came before, so there's I think like a massacre taking place in the 60s where it's like a nursing home. I could basically also put in like 60s 70s stuff, you know, kind of, because then we saw the living room, for example. And yeah, it's just kind of like a little bit more fun to experiment with all of the items and objects that we have throughout all the packs, of course, because I didn't want to, you know, repeat myself over and over again. Here we are in the basement. The basement is in the series, of course, where stuff gets done, I would say. All the fun horror stuff happens in the basement. So for those who don't know, and I think this is also not like a story spoiler, but there has been a doctor living there at some point and he did illegal abortions, I would say. Which is why there is this, I would call it a sick bed, patient bed, operating table, call it what you will. And I tried to recreate that room as well. Doesn't really make sense to have it still in a family room, but maybe that door is locked and I didn't find the key or whatever. You do you. Then there is, of course, the room with the, what's it called? This chair kind of thing that goes up and down. English. You will know. If you know the series, you know what I mean. Then on the plans, we had a laundry room. I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, there's the laundry room. I kind of tried to rebuild it as I saw it in some shots when the house was on the market for a short while. And there are, like I said, 5 bathrooms. I think I don't show that many, but keep in mind there are 5 bathrooms, and all of them I think have a shower, toilet, and sink. And some have these very practical vampire, I think it's from the vampire bag, the shower bathtub where they can also shower. Here we are in the parents' bedroom. That was hard to recreate because the back of it has this upholstery and it's actually dark red. I found the upholstery, which is actually kind of like a sofa, and then put the bed over it. But sadly, it only comes like in a bright red swatch, which kind of looks like, I don't know, punk brothel. Really bad taste then. So I thought, okay, probably they would go with gray then. You know, I tried to have the layout as it is, and then of course add in stuff that makes sense for Sims gameplay, or that I personally just would say this is how I would have, you know, done it. This is what I would have placed it if I had these objects already, like these furnitures already. So yeah, keep in mind this is like kind of me. This is also a mixture of the set pieces. This is also a mixture of how the actual house looks like. And yeah, for example, the actual house has a walk-in closet. I totally deleted or like enlarged the kitchen to have the staff rooms gone, or the staff access to the kitchen. Which is why I think that they did for the set as well. I don't know if it still exists, because of course exactly these kinds of like tiny little corridors for the staff and whatnot is not shown when they want to sell a house, because they're probably not as good. But yeah, there's a walk-in closet, and here we are in a bedroom that's, for example, never shown, but apparently there's a bedroom. So I have to say big thanks, of course, for the layout that someone made for this house. Like the blueprints were really helpful. But then I basically thought about when there were like rooms that we never see in the show, because it kind of doesn't make sense to show. It's kind of funny though, because in the series, like it's it's a family of 3. It's like mom, dad, and like teenage girl. And what I realized is that the teenage girl gets to use the room that is under the roof, like the bedroom under the roof, whereas there should be other bedrooms that are closer to the downstairs. I don't know if that is on purpose that she chose the one, but yeah, apparently this is just something that I could deduct by looking at all of the pictures. This is the sunroom, also never seen. So yeah, when I get like a room that we never see, I basically furnish it how I would furnish it. And my idea was, if you want to build, like play with this in The Sims, I think you would have a family living there that has, you know, that has like grandma and maybe the aunts and lots of kids or something. So I thought, and also maybe they live there for generations and generations. So it's also sometimes really old-timey and never really creepy. I never wanted it to look like have cobwebs everywhere. So I thought this doesn't make sense. If you really live in a house, even if it's haunted, why should there be cobwebs? You probably, if you have a house like this, you have a maid or a butler, which is also, you can have a butler with the vintage glamour stuff pack, right? Which you could then do here as well. Like you can assign like the butler one of the many bedrooms that we have here. So yeah, feel free to do that. I just try to experiment a little bit how I would furnish that and how it also makes sense maybe with Sims playing there. Keep in mind, I could never like super clutter everything, because then Sims tend to not be able to get or reach all of the objects that they really have to use, so it would be a bummer if they can't use the huge bed in like a bedroom, for example. So yeah, I know that lots and lots of fans are watching this right now. Also, hi. I really love the series as well. I've watched every season so far and I'm a huge fan. But yeah, doing this in The Sims, please keep in mind to be a little bit civil in the comments sometimes. I tried my best. And if, of course, if you have the Sims game, please feel free to rebuild this as well. I also have to say I'm not the first one doing this. Of course, there are lots and lots of murder houses already on the gallery. I just really wanted to try it out myself. You know, because also people have been requesting it, and I was like, okay, there are already so many of them on the gallery, doesn't really have a point that I do that now. But they were like, no, we really want to see your take of that and whatnot. And I've already talked to some of them who already did them, and they are all really, really good. It's, I think, always hard to do something that we see from a series and that especially uses lots and lots of set pieces or like set design, which doesn't align so much. But this time I think this aligned a lot. Like this one was a way easier than, for example, the Spellman Mortuary, because the Spellman Mortuary, sorry to say this to the hardcore fans, would never ever fit into the house that they show for the exterior shots. Never. It's way too big. The set is way too big for the house. But okay, I tried my best there. I think this is still one of my best recreations in my opinion. So I'm still very, very, you know, attached to that. But this one is also like one of my newer, yeah, go-to houses in my opinion, because the layout is really, really good and thought out. Which is, by the way, why I think you should really look at some blueprints and get them somehow. If you get the blueprints, I think lots of them are somehow pinned on Pinterest, so they help you a lot. So yeah, usually these older houses have a really good layout in my opinion. Also this here, for example, has 2 stairs going up, which makes it, in my opinion, also easier for Sims to move around, because we know that Sims tend to clutter up or like bulk at points like stairs or something. Then they all want to use the stairs but can't, because it's like a one-tile wide stairs and whatnot. But yeah, anyways, we all know that Sims have some problems walking around. Getting around is hard for them. So we have to provide as many doors and as many stairs as possible can, so they find their route to said object. So yeah, here we had like a little corner where I was like, that I'm going to put there, but maybe more activities for your Sims to do and work from home. So maybe a little atelier for your artist Sims. So we have that going on. And yeah, basically it was lots and lots of fun to recreate this this house. And I think for those who don't know the series, it's like not like a super spooky house, just like an old-timey house, which is really cool for maybe your rich legacy sims or something that already have a really big legacy going on. And yeah, I personally think this is like kind of also cool for just in general, like for gameplay. And yeah, that's basically what I can, this is my 2 cents about it. It has been a while. By the way, it took me, I think, 6 or 7 hours to build this. Keep in mind I had to do lots of research for this, edit this, and also my ankle ligaments are torn right now, so I'm kind of like bed bound. So it took me a while. Here we can see some top view shots for those who want to rebuild this, but you actually don't have to rebuild. It is up on the gallery. I will put the link in the video description down below for you, as always, so you can just get it and download this and put it into your game for free. You're welcome. But I know that some always want to have the top view shot, so here you go. Here we are in the video tour. Some longer shots so you can see what's going on, because speed build is always so, you know, speedy and quick. And here we can see everything. Yeah, I'm actually a little bit anxious that you're kind of gonna destroy me. Like, that does look like it. But I tried my best. I think in the Sims kind of version it kind of makes sense. I had some problems, of course, with some sites where there actually is an annex. So, yeah, since they deleted some stuff with CGI, it is a freestanding big house now. But I think it has a lot of charm. I think the most I fell in love is with the wooden paneling and like the upper ceilings that I try to recreate, because they have these beams and like curves and whatnot, as you have in some Gothic houses. Which is really cool. I think the kitchen, personally, I would have done super different than this one. But maybe for gameplay, this is makes even more sense, I guess, because the sink and the stove and the fridge are kind of very close together because it's such a narrow kitchen. And personally, also for gameplay, I think I would switch the psychiatry office room with the dining room, just so it makes more sense. This is just, I had to put it in there because I, of course, try to orient myself more to the series than to what it actually, you know, supposed to be in the real house. I kind of find it funny that it's also kind of marked, this is the kitchen, this is the dining room, this is the living room. Kind of has like a weird layout then, but okay, apparently that is also marked. But yeah, I really, really like the house. It has a lot of charm. Yeah, it's kind of like chic and old-timey, but it's also kind of fun. I think I would have used more wooden paneling, just in general, because, yeah, I think it looks a little bit more old-timey then, and more preserved. And in the set, they have some white paneling all of a sudden and painted something white. And I was like, ugh, why? It's probably all natural wooden colors, but okay. I love the charm of it, definitely. Really, really cool. So yeah, basically, like I said, this is for the Simheim 2020 collab. Please check out the hashtag Simheim 2020. We all upload stuff for that on the gallery under that hashtag, and also use it for all our Twitter, Instagram, whatever posts. So check it out, definitely. I will provide a playlist with all of the other builds, videos in the description down below. There's, by the way, the rubber man in the basement. For those who watch the series, it's a mannequin. It's a black mannequin in this case. So yeah, you don't have to be afraid that it walks around and spooks you. And yeah, basically I will put also the download link, like I said, and some references for those who have never seen the series and just want to see if this is kind of like looks like it is in the series. So maybe I find like all my links I can drop down there if you want to look at it. And yeah, this is basically it, guys. I really hope that you like it. Please enjoy your Halloween if you celebrate it. Here in Germany, it's kind of like a meh, especially now with Corona, like we don't really celebrate it. But yeah, have a lovely holiday for that. I hope you like this build, and I hope that your Sims love it. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And yeah, that's basically it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye bye!